promising new space strategy game Stellaris has the pedigree to be great. With the experts at Paradox putting their own spin on a classic genre, it seems like a can't-miss proposition. But it does miss, turning early game promise into a slow, dull grind. Stellaris makes a great first impression. The early part of this real-time grand strategy game is divided into two main components. First, there's a fun exploration phase where you discover new habitable planets and funny, well-written quests.
System survey complete. Anomaly found.
There are some neat ideas involved in colony mechanics as well. Each starting race is only suited to a few types of worlds, so for example, ocean dwellers simply won't be happy on a desert planet. However, you can find primitive races and either enslave them or uplift them into your empire, allowing you to expand onto those worlds. Science fiction games rarely portray multi-species empires, but Stellaris makes them essential, and moving populations around planets to max out resources is simple and satisfying. So there's a strong beginning, but once you get to 5 planets or so, and a decent-sized empire, then it all goes wrong. In the transition from the early game to the mid-game, Stellaris grinds to a halt. The vast majority of my time playing was spent staring at the screen waiting for something, anything, interesting to happen. It usually didn't. Part of this was the fault of the overly passive AI. If they're stronger than you, they might declare war. If they're not, they don't do anything. It took me 50 hours and 3 games, raising the difficulty and giving the computer empire a huge buff before they declared war on me for the first time. Multiplayer is obviously preferable, but solo players will suffer. But not only is Stellaris externally inert, its internal empire management turns dull as well. Once you expand past 5 star systems, you're penalized with a mechanic designed to prevent micromanagement. You're forced to create sectors, clumps of your empire given over to an AI governor in order to give you resources without hassle. Unfortunately, these sectors are black holes where fun gets sucked into an event horizon, never to return. Sectors take the best part of Stellaris, planet management, and turn it into, well, nothing. They don't do anything except contribute resources. More importantly, they don't create compelling internal politics to an empire. At worst, they threaten to rebel, but that's easily stopped with a tiny payment. Paradox struck gold in its previous game, Crusader Kings 2, by turning intra-empire politics into essential gameplay. So it's astonishing how utterly boring a seemingly similar mechanic is in Stellaris. It gets worse. Putting planets in sectors means there's no way to quickly access them. And because governors don't build ships and rarely improve their space stations, if you ever do want to do that, it's a frustrating process. This means that sectors actually create more micromanagement than they solve. Even the quest chains, which were so promising in the early game, simply stop appearing in the mid-game, and the long-term ones get broken or stuck behind AI borders. The only thing I found to look forward to was getting new technology, and even that has its issues. Stellaris uses a neat system of drawing virtual cards for each new tech, so you have a few options to choose from each time you advance in its 3 categories: engineering, physics, and society. At their best, these decisions feel tough and important. The flip side of this is that almost all of the interesting choices are in the society category. Physics is occasionally useful, but engineering is almost always a meaninglessly slight improvement to your ships. It's hard to get excited about a new gun since combat, as in most Paradox games, is fully automated. Stellaris is filled with good ideas, and it's not difficult to see the outline of a great space strategy game where those ideas could come together. But beyond the early game, it's only compelling in bits and pieces. It often turns into an uneventful slog. Paradox has developed a reputation of major upgrades to their games for years after launch, and Stellaris is going to need all that love and more to reach its potential. For more on Stellaris, stick with IGN.